We know who the Dodgers opening day starter is most likely going to be. Will the Dodgers give the people what they want? Clayton Kershaw re-signs. We've got new details on Kike Hernandez's contract, injury news, and news and notes from spring training. All that coming up next on a jam-packed episode of Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball. Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You got it, Roki, a parade. We got a parade. The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series.
Ohtani starts the 50-50 clock. Monkey magic. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone. Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. Everything you need to know about your boys in blue in less than an hour. Now, if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor, subscribe to the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain, credential member of Dodgers Media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Also, comment Roki of the Year if you want to be eligible for our next big giveaway. We're doing a Roki Sasaki jersey giveaway, and we're going to be doing that once we hit 120K subscribers, just past the 116,000 mark, so definitely subscribe. Also, second thing I really need you to do for me, subscribe to the Discord channel. I'm going to be at Dodgers spring training. I'm headed to Camelback Ranch later this week, and we're going to be featuring a lot of exclusive content on the Discord. I'm going to be able to chat with you guys, going to be able to feature you guys on this show as far as call-ins, and also going to be a huge favor. Definitely subscribe to the Big Lead One. The Big Lead's my YouTube channel where I talk about all sports. So definitely, we're going to be talking about baseball over there. Going to be having former Dodgers as guys on the show as guests for interviews. So definitely do me a huge favor. Subscribe to the Big Lead One. And also, drop your comments down below. Do you think that Yoshinobu Yamamoto should be the opening day starter? Do you think it should be Roki Sasaki? Well, that is the leadoff, because today, Dave Roberts, he appeared on MLB Network and was asked about the Tokyo series and the Dodgers heading to Japan for an historic series against the Cubs. Craig Counsell, the Cubs manager, he let us know a couple days ago that it was going to be Shota Imanaga on the bump for the Cubbies. The only question now was who would be getting the ball for the Dodgers. Well, Dave Roberts, he made some very interesting comments about who's going to be getting that ball for the Dodgers on opening day in Tokyo, and here's what he had to say.
I think the expectation for both those guys to pitch is real. That's our expectation. But as I say that, you just never know. Today's our first day of pitchers and catchers, so things can certainly change. But I think at the outset, that's the anticipation. Yeah.
And then later in the morning, when he spoke to the media, he essentially reiterated that he was going to go Yamamoto in game one. He was asked by reporters if it was going to be Yamamoto, and he said, quote, fair to say. This is from Sonia Chen, MLB.com's new Dodgers reporter. She tweeted out, per Dave Roberts, it's fair to say Yoshinobu Yamamoto will start game one of the Tokyo series. He also said the plan is for Roki Sasaki to pitch there, depending on how he builds up during spring. If Sasaki does pitch in Tokyo, it will be as a starter. So my takeaway from that is they don't want to put too much pressure on Roki Sasaki. He's just getting to Camelback Ranch, adjusting to his teammates, adjusting to the ball, the mound, the Dodgers jersey, what that means to put on. Also, the media there in abundance. So I think that's the smart move for Dave Roberts and this organization, to not go out there and say, yeah, Roki Sasaki is getting the ball in game two in this historic series in the Tokyo Dome, and he's going to make his big league and Dodgers debut in front of 40, 50,000 fans. I think that is something they didn't want to do, and also it gives them the cushion to see how does he ramp up, how do things go for him as he builds up and gets into the groove of things and adjust to his new role as a big league starter. So I like the fact that Dave didn't come out and say it, but I do think that from Roki's standpoint, from the Dodgers standpoint, if everything goes as planned, it makes sense to have it happen in game 2. Yes, the way the wording is, sure. Is he going to pitch in Tokyo? Could it be one of the couple 2 exhibition games? It certainly could. But let's give the people what they want. Let's give the game what it needs. Roki Sasaki making his big league debut in Tokyo, Japan. That would be box office. That's electric. So I really hope that everything goes as planned and that this is just the Dodgers protecting themselves and not wanting to put too much pressure on Roki Sasaki because, like I said, he's going to be the Roki of the Year. That's where you got to comment down below. Roki of the Year if you're going to be eligible for our giveaway. Now, as far as Yamamoto goes, it's going to be a big year for Yamamoto. I think that last season we saw what he's capable of. There's no doubt about it. Then when Yamamoto is on his game, when he's at his very best, he is a surefire top 10 ace caliber pitcher. There's a reason why the Dodgers signed him to the largest contract that any pitcher had ever signed in the history of Major League Baseball. His $325 million, eclipsing Garrett Cole's $324 million. Yes, he was younger. Yes, there's more years attached to it in the long run, but still, they viewed him as an ace, and when he was right, he performed as an ace. But there's one thing I want to see from Yoshinobu Yamamoto. There's one thing I think that we need to see him go from a really, really great starter to an elite starter, and that is efficiency. Last season, he averaged 5 innings per start. In the playoffs, he averaged 4 2/3 innings. So efficiency is going to be the number one thing that I want to see Yamamoto improve upon in 2025 because that's what he's been throughout his entire career. In the NPB, he averaged 7 innings per start. This is someone who has shown the ability to use that pitch mix with all those dynamic pitches and land fastball command early in counts. Then he can steal strikes with that yo-yo curveball. And this guy has a ton of different pitches in his arsenal. I mean, it's 6-pitch mix. I mean, 4-seam fastball, splitter, curveball, cutter, slider, and sinker. And he has shown that he can really make big league hitters feel uncomfortable. That's lower release point with the command that he does have. Opponents last year, they hit 229 off of him. They had a 275 on base and slugged 365. So the number one thing is the efficiency for him. He averaged 160 innings per season when he was in the NPB for his 3 Triple Crown seasons, where he was the best pitcher in the sport in Japan. And then his first year in the show, he went 90 innings in the regular season, and that was due to the fact that he was injured after he had that right rotator cuff strain, and that kept him out from mid-June to all the way through mid-September. So I'm excited about year 2 of Yamamoto. I think the fact that he's already proven that he can get it done on the biggest stage, pitch well in Game 2 of the World Series. His best game really was the 7 shutout innings where he gave just 2 hits and struck out 7 Yankees in the regular season in that electric environment. He knows he can do it against the best hitters in the game, the best teams in the game. And I'll never forget when I was in Seoul, South Korea, watching him on the mound for the first time, and he gave up 5 runs. It was like 43 pitches, something like that. And everyone on social media was like, oh, the Dodgers got a bust. The Dodgers overpaid for Yamamoto. How do you give $325 million to a pitcher that you've never seen pitch at the big league level? Well, we see why. Because it's the top-end stuff. It's the ceiling with him, and it's going to be extremely exciting to see him go against Shota Imanaga in Game 1. And we have to see Roki Sasaki in Game 2. I mean, it'd be nice to see him in the exhibition games, but it would just be so iconic, man. It would be electric to see him get the ball in Game 2. But let me know down below in the comment section, what are your thoughts on the decision to go with Yamamoto in Game 1? Because, look, you can look at it and say, hey, Blake Snell's an ace. Tyler Glasnow's an ace, right? I mean, Shohei Ohtani's not going to be ready to pitch until May. That'd be the ultimate, right? If it was Shohei Ohtani making his Dodgers pitching debut, we'll have to hold off with that. But I almost find it equally as exciting to have an opportunity to see what Roki Sasaki can do in his first game as a big leaguer. We got Don Kim, yes, live with D-Mac during lunch break. What up, Don Kim? Always rock with us. Mad Villain says Roki of the Year. Claudia finally caught this live. MLB Roki of the Year, your dad. Daniel Martinez, I'm sure Roki will be ready to pitch in the Tokyo series. He'll feel right at home and he'll be very familiar with the surroundings. Roki of the Year, let's go Dodgers. What's up? We got Noise by Noel. I might swerve in the corner. Whoa. Noel has loved that Jello Ball song the minute it came out. A $1.99 super chat from MM Forever. Who is starting games 3, 4, and 5 of the season in LA? I mean, I think a lot of that depends on how things shake out with the spring training, with the exhibition games. You have the tune-up series against the Angels after the regular season begins. So it's going to be just like last year, where you open your season overseas on March 18th and March 19th in Tokyo, but then you come back and you play a few games against the Angels starting on March 23rd. But you have to believe that Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, I mean, those are the guys, right? Those are the guys that you hope will get the ball to start the season for the Dodgers. And I fully expect guys like Tony Gonsolin to make the most of their opportunities early on, too. I mean, from what I've heard, Gonsolin looks really sharp early on during spring, and they have all the confidence in the world in him that he can earn a spot in this rotation to start the year as you kind of put together this pseudo six-man rotation as you await Shohei Ohtani to get back to full strength. So I'm excited to see Blake Snell, man. I mean, he looks happy. He looks engaged. I mean, he looks awesome in that Dodgers uniform. I mean, everyone looks better in blue, right? But that Dodgers uniform, there's just something about it, especially coming off the Giants uniform and the Padres uniform. I mean, he's looking crispy in that Dodger blue. But I think one of the big things, too, for the Dodgers is they have experience going through this process after last season. They know how to navigate their way through an abbreviated spring training and be ready to go when travel's involved, when you have a lot of eyeballs on you, all the media attention. Who can't forget what happened last season when Shohei Ohtani got off the plane? It was like Michael Jackson, the Beatles, and Elvis rolled into one with all the media attention that he got. So I think that's going to be a big part of it, too, the Dodgers having that advantage. But here was Dave Roberts talking about the process of getting ready to open the season earlier.
I think that one good thing is that we had the run last year as far as going to South Korea and going and understanding the timing, the rhythm, what it entails. So we reported on time. I think that really being resolved to the fact that you don't need to build pitchers up to 6 and 90 for those 2 games in Tokyo. I think that we feel really good about that. So it's going to be sort of use a lot of different arms. I think the position players will be fine as far as ramping up, getting ready. We've got 2 exhibition games there in the Tokyo Dome, which is going to be great. I actually think, guys, to be honest, knowing that we only have 4 weeks of spring training here in the desert, guys are excited about. And I did a trip this past winter with my son to Tokyo. And honestly, guys, it restored my sense and kind of global humanity. The people there were fantastic. They can be kind. People can be kind. And then the food was fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to my players kind of seeing that culture and winning a couple ball games. But honestly, HR, I think the X's and O's, the logistics, we feel good about that.
So I think that's what's a big start of the season, because, I mean, it was a long season last year with the postseason, with the parade, with the media obligations. I mean, this was a very short offseason, so this team had a short offseason, and they're starting the season earlier than anyone else just because they're the Dodgers, right? They are the team that is expected to be really a global ambassador. I remember talking to Stan Kasten in Korea last year about the possibility of playing in Japan, and one thing he told me was, hey, nothing's official yet, but we understand the responsibility that we have as an organization in that the Dodgers aren't like other organizations in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers, with their history, with their market, with their tradition, with their history of international players, specifically from Japan, that, yeah, I mean, that's the team that they wanted to be playing in that game and making history from that standpoint. So, hey, that's what the Dodgers do, right? I mean, they're there for a reason. But we got Claudia 11. It's a marketing strategy, of course. Yamamoto is pitching game 1 in Tokyo. Dave S., I'm guessing the fans in Japan will be a little pumped to see Yamamoto and Sasaki starting games there. Tran says, Shohei Ohtani has just recovered. Roki Sasaki, first-time experience in Major League Baseball. So Yamamoto will be the best out of the 3. I see someone here pointing out Blake Snell hiding from the cameras. Yeah, I think that was hilarious. Blake Snell, hey, get ready for a Blake Snell hiding from the cameras walking into spring training. Going to be a lot more media attention on you this season. This is a comment of the show so far from G. Stephen Q. How does Danny Duffy look so far? How does Danny Duffy look so far? I'm going to have to give you the bruh treatment. But Danny Duffy, he's the Loch Ness Monster. He's the Santa Claus of he's the Loch Ness Monster of Dodger baseball. Man, we've heard a lot about him. We heard he was real, but I don't know. We never really saw him. But yeah, I can't wait to see. Well, I know one day I'm going to see a Danny Duffy jersey at Dodger Stadium. It's gonna send me for sure. But switching gears here, and by the way, Shohei Ohtani and Roki Sasaki are going to be speaking to the media in a little bit. So I'm going to try to give you guys as much from that. If they say anything that is it is pressing, we'll see. Actually, he did. Shohei Ohtani already spoke to the media. Fabian Ardaya tweet out, Shohei Ohtani said he's expecting to throw his first bullpen this weekend, has been throwing all of his pitches, including, as of today, his sweeper on flat ground. Ohtani also hit on the field today. Dave Roberts said that he didn't have a start date yet for Shohei Ohtani to start throwing full bullpens, but maintained that Ohtani will be pitching sooner rather than later, but he won't pitch in any of the Cactus League games. So, there you go. You're not going to be seeing Shohei Ohtani pitching Cactus League games, and he told us during Dodgers Fest that really the most important thing was getting that first bullpen, seeing how he bounced back from that. He knows his body, he knows his routine, he knows his process, so I'm pretty confident that the organization and Shohei, that they're not going to be rushing anything, that they're going to make sure that he's going to be ready to go and that they're not putting him in a bad position where you're rushing him back. So I fully expect a healthy and ready to go Shohei Ohtani, hopefully by early May. I mean, that is the goal, because remember, it's not about May, it's about October, but still, I know he's itching to get back on the mound for sure. You got you guys in the comments. Robert says no need to rush Ohtani. We've got any news on Arenado from Claudia? No news. This roster looks like it's pretty much set. Tayo Anthony Rendon will be all-star this year. Book it. Yeah, all-star of what? All-star of missing games? All-star of not wanting to live that Hollywood lifestyle? What a major bullet dodged for the Dodgers. Can you imagine if they were with Anthony Rendon? I always think it's funny that Anthony Rendon was pushing for a shorter schedule. He was pushing for a shorter schedule, and that makes a lot of sense for a guy that doesn't love baseball, clearly. I mean, obviously the injuries are one thing, but I think that Angels fans are pushing for a shorter contract for him, because that's one of the worst free agent contracts in history based on the production. But let's do a little housekeeping on some news. Of course, we had a show yesterday, but had a little bug, so we are going to get back to some of those topics. Clayton Kershaw is back. So Clayton Edward Kershaw back for his 18th season with the Dodgers. My Christians, my believers in Christianity, this is a big day, of course, because you do not want to see him pitch with another organization, and you don't want to see him go out like he did last season. This is a guy who deserves his flowers. I know there's a lot of people out there that think, okay, look, you have Shohei Ohtani, and you have Blake Snell, and you have Roki Sasaki, and Yamamoto, and Tyler Glasnow, that Clayton Kershaw is kind of this afterthought at this point of his career because he's not the 3-time Cy Young Award winning MVP that he was during his prime. And sure, that's true, but that doesn't mean that he can't help this team. I still think that when he's at his best, he can still provide quality depth for this rotation, and he's not a pitcher that relies on velocity. A lot of pitchers out there, just ask Noah Syndergaard, that you need 97, need 98 to be effective, to get big league hitters out. Kersh isn't that guy. If he has 90 in command, the slider and the curveball are going to play up. And this team would not have him back if they thought he was going to be a 10-plus ERA guy and put up Lance Lynn postseason numbers. Clayton Kershaw would not be continuing his career if he didn't think he could still be of some service and provide some value to a club. And look, he made it very clear this offseason that he was going to re-sign with the Dodgers and continue his career. And the biggest thing for me is that the reason why his season ended and he only pitched in 7 games last year, the reason why it ended, it wasn't because of his arm. Because by all reports, the arm surgery that was performed by Dr. Neil Elitrach to repair the glenohumeral ligament and the capsule in his left shoulder after the 2023 season, all of that went very, very well. And it was a lower body injury that kept him out. It was a toe injury, so he couldn't push off the rubber, and then he ultimately would have knee surgery as well. The arm, though, has been repaired, and I still think there's bullets in there. I still think there's gas left in the tank for Clayton Kershaw, and I'm excited to see him back because, one, that's not how things should have ended for him. I mean, it was great to see him say, Dodger for life, at the Dodgers celebration, at the parade, but we need to see him with the ball in his hands, getting hitters out. And the other two things you need to know about Clayton Kershaw, one, that once his season starts, that'll be his 18th season with the club. That'll tie him with Zach Wheat and Bill Russell for the most seasons played for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And this is something that he has not lost sight of. He understands the significance of what it means to have records like that and what he means to a franchise and a fan base that, look, guys, it's awesome. We have all these great players now. But for a while, Kersh was the guy, right? Kershaw Day was a thing for so many years. He was our guy, Goat Shaw, right? So I think, and I will take this to my grave, that I don't think you see Shohei Ohtani without Clayton Kershaw. And the reason I say that is Clayton Kershaw took this organization out of the doldrums of the McCourt era, and he was the model of consistency. And yes, you had your occasional bad starts in the postseason. A lot of that was mismanagement from managers. And, like, yes, sometimes he just was at his best. I mean, look, I'm not going to dive into it. You know the starts, you know the teams, you know the series. But there were times where he did not perform up to his standard in the postseason. But it was that what he brought to this organization allowed them to punch their ticket to the postseason every year. And that's what Shohei was looking for. He was looking for a organization that's committed to winning, that makes it to the playoffs every year. And Clayton Kershaw was a big part of that. He's a big part of the culture that has been established in Los Angeles. And I truly believe that a lot of these stars you're seeing now, Clayton Kershaw deserves some credit for getting guys like that in this clubhouse. Listen to guys like Tyler Glasnow talk about how much it means to be on the team that has the player that he looked up to growing up. Ask Blake Snell, who said that he won his locker to be right next to Clayton Kershaw. Look, Kersh is that guy, and he's always going to have a spot on this team. It's like when you got the old frat guys that roll up. They graduated years ago. They show up, but they still know the handshake. They still know the secret passcode. You let them in. You're like, hey, man, we'd love to have you back, man. There's always a spot here for you, right? Kersh is that guy. But ask Kersh last year after his first start what it meant to have the record for the most seasons pitched with the Dodgers. And here's what he had to say.
And Clayton, you became the first Dodgers pitcher in franchise history to pitch for this organization for 17 seasons. How significant is that for you?
It kind of makes me feel old a little bit, but I mean, at the same time, I don't take for granted, what this organization means to a lot of people in Los Angeles and all over the world. So, for me to be able to be here that long, it's a huge honor. And so I don't, like I said, I've tried not to take anything for granted, but anytime, after surgery you get to come back out, I'm not going to take it for granted at all.
So you heard that. It's not lost on him. He understands that significance, and now he adds another year. We got, come on, Doug, give it to us. Give it to us hard, D-Mac, Dodger for life. First of all, pause, bruh, and Dodger for life. And then we got Bad Invest. This is from Shovel over on YouTube. Bad Investments extending Kershaw's career. Get your tickets. Not sure what that means necessarily. We have Justin Lamas. Hey, Doug, did you hear about Hollywood Lifestyle out for the 2025 season? Yeah, we talked about Anthony Rendon and what that means. And, it's not a surprise. And the Angels, man, they're just cursed. They're really cursed. D-Mac, what up, Jack 42? Kersh is Dodger. Royalty is from Yvonne for sure. I like this from Nando 390. What's up, Nando? Anthony Rendon got injured from being injured. That's common to the show territory right there for sure. I mean, it's just wild just because it kind of has been the laughing stock of baseball to a degree as far as that. I mean, at least he's not going to pretend to be healthy this season, because that's kind of what we see from him early on in the year. And it's tough to kind of ride on a guy for being injured, but I mean, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like an MLB Facts thing early on. I mean, he couldn't even make it to the field to get hurt this time, right? I mean, they should just DFA him, man. Just take the L, eat the money, get the roster spot. I mean, yeah, it's kind of wild. I think I saw somewhere he was getting like $211,000 per at bat, something crazy like that. But yeah, kind of getting back to Clayton Kershaw, a couple milestones too. 22 is 32 away from 3,000. And this is a milestone that is going to be one of the big storylines once he makes his return. Because in the history of Major League Baseball, there's currently only 19,000 members of the 3,000 strikeout club. And of those 19, only 3 are lefties: Steve Carlton, CC Sabathia, and Randy Johnson. And then on top of that, only 4 have thrown 3,000 strikeouts for one team. Walter Johnson did it with the Senators. Bob Gibson did it with the Cardinals, Steve Carlton with the Phillies, and John Smoltz with the Braves. So 32 strikeouts away. That's going to be special, a big moment. I do think that there has to be a part of him that wanted to continue his career, even though he'll never admit it, because he wanted to achieve that number. And yeah, like I said, let's not forget, just Kersh was so good at his best and for so long. I just think that it's almost impossible not to take it for granted. Think about this. Here's an insane stat. If Clayton Kershaw gave up 139 earned runs before he recorded another out, he would still have an ERA that was below 3. That's how good he was throughout his career. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. There will be a statue for him. And I think that he can provide depth, he can provide leadership, and I'm excited to have him back. Now, next bit of news, we got a update on Kike Hernandez's contract situation. He signed for 1 year, $6.5 million, and the corresponding move to get him onto the roster was they placed Gavin Stone on the 60-day injured list. And yes, Gavin Stone can technically come back on May 17th, but nope, he is most likely going to miss the entire 2025 season. And I just hope that Gavin Stone gets a massive ovation on the Dodgers ring day. During their ring ceremony, he deserves a lot of credit, because you might forget this. You might have forgotten the fact that Gavin Stone led the Dodgers with 25 starts. Led the Dodgers with 140 in the third innings, posted a 3.53 ERA. Those are very solid numbers. Had a sub-4 expected ERA. He also had that complete game shutout in Chicago, first one in a while for the Dodgers. So yeah, it's great to see him have that success. He also earned some more money too. He earned an extra $350,000 from the pre-arbitration pool, so got some extra bread. So, yeah, Gavin Stone, man, he'll be back next season. And as far as Kike Hernandez goes, I told you guys this entire offseason, the Banana Man was not going to split. He was going to be back in L.A. Andrew Friedman said that door was never going to be shut, and it was very clear that this organization was going to get him back. And I think what I'm looking forward to with Kike Hernandez this season is how does he look through the entire course of his season when he is not dealing with an astigmatism in his eye? That was the big difference. That was the turning point. People might forget this. And I think that we need a documentary about the 2024 Dodgers, because I've said it a couple years ago when they were winning 100-plus games, but they were kind of a boring team as far as their cast of characters goes. I mean, that 2022 team had Trey Turner was like a robot. I mean, it was just not that interesting, right? 2024 is box office, is major league level, from adding Shohei Ohtani to the Ippei Mizuhara to the Ippei Mizuhara scandal, to everything that was related to that, to the ups and downs of the regular season, to being down against the Padres and them acting like little kids, immature dudes, and they come back and win that series, to beating the two New York teams. I mean, 2024 was a movie, and the crazy thing was the players that overcame obstacles that season. Kike Hernandez could have been DFA'd. Gavin Lux could have been DFA'd, could have been sent down and optioned. Walker Buehler thought he was going to be released, and he's the guy that got the final out. Well, Kike, you might forget this, but he was struggled to the first part of the season. In 2024, before the glasses, before they gave him the goggles, and he started wearing that for the first time, he was a 229 hitter, and he was 17% below league average, had 83 weighted runs created plus. After he put on the glasses, he raised his batting average from 229 to 274. The on-base went from 281 to 307, but the big jump was the slug that went from 373 to 458, and he goes from 17% below league average offensively to 12% above league average offensively, and posted a 112 weighted runs created plus down the stretch. It was massive in October. Keektober had a 294 batting average, slug 451, had a 129 weighted runs created plus in 13 postseason games. And that's why they brought him back. His postseason average is crazy. His postseason production is all-star level. A 134 career postseason weighted runs created plus with 15 home runs in 86 postseason games. He had 10 of those 15 with the Dodgers, with ties him as for 5th all-time. So, love to see Kike Hernandez back. It was a no-brainer. It'd be kind of cool if one year Kike could bring his postseason all-star level production into the regular season and see what that would mean. But I think the big takeaway here is, what does this do to the end of the roster? Because Kike, you brought him back. It's a 1-year, $6.5 million deal, a $2.5 million raise from the contract that he signed last season. But you have to wonder what this means for Chris Taylor and Andy Pages. Ha-Seong Kim likely going to make the squad unless he really struggles at the plate offensively. He could start the year down at the minor league level potentially, but they brought him in for a reason, is what I was told. And I think the difference for Chris Taylor is he sees all this versatility. He sees Kike Hernandez, Miguel Rojas, Tommy Edman, Ha-Seong Kim. You got 4 guys that can play multiple positions at a high level. So Chris Taylor's Chris Army knife versatility is not as valuable as it was a couple of seasons ago. And then if he's not going to play a lot of infield, you look at the outfield, they signed Michael Conforto. He's going to be starting in left. Teoscar Hernandez, he's going to be starting in right. And then center, yes, Chris Taylor has started in center, but that's looking like it's going to be a Tommy Edman and potentially an Andy Pages battle with really not a battle. Tommy Edman's just going to play where he fits, right? If Mookie Betts can't handle shortstop, which by all reports, they're going to give him every single opportunity to do that, and that's how it's going to be. I mean, Andrew Friedman told me himself that that's the plan, and he's going to give him that opportunity. But the big takeaway is, I really do think if Andy Pages hits and can show that power, I mean, people hate on Pages' defense. He was an above-average defender. The arm strength is above average. He crushed lefties all season long. So I think that it would help this Dodgers team to develop some young talent, because you need to get younger in certain positions and have a little bit of a pipeline for players. So Chris Taylor, from a financial standpoint, yes, we'll see what happens. $15 million, is that a lot when you consider that the Dodgers are going to be paying $500 million for this team after tax, after the surcharge? So I do think that Andy Pages if he performs well, I think he deserves to be on this roster, unless Chris Taylor looks fantastic during spring and it looks like the bat is back. But with Kike back, that definitely makes it harder for another guy to stay on this roster that originally was hoping to be a lock. But let me know down below. Do you want to see Chris Taylor on the roster? Do you want to see Andy Pages? I want to read some of your comments about this one. We know that it's a polarizing player is Chris Taylor. Mike Condaza says they can get rid of CT3. He won't be missed that much. Daniel, you think Kim starts at second? It depends. It really does. It's all about the contact. I mean, I talked to Hassan Kim during Dodgers Fest, and look, he reiterated that the big adjustment for him is going to be, can he hit big league velocity? In the KBO, you're seeing more 89s and 90s than you are 95s and 96s. The velocity makes it a bigger challenge for him. If that translates, though, then I think that you're going to see versatility there. I don't think they're going to lock him into one position necessarily, but I do think that what it comes down to is if he can't hit lefties because he's a left-handed batter, then you could see a platoon situation, and then you could see Andy Pages in center and Tommy Hedman at second base, and you can kind of mix around with that position. That's kind of the position this year where you can plug different guys in. I think, too, you're going to see Mookie play some second occasionally, too, possibly, if it comes down to that later in the year. So we'll see how it plays out, but I think the number one thing is the guy that hits is going to play. And that's what this organization, they put the premium on. They want to score runs in bunches. They want the crooked number innings. And if you prove that you can put your bat on the ball and impact the game offensively, then defensively, you can get, they know that all those guys can get the job done. They know that. And I think the thing that Kim has is he's a dynamic base runner. This is a guy that every single year in the KBO, he stole 20 bases. He had a career high 41 stolen bases. This is a very dynamic base runner that gives a element to this Dodgers offense that they don't get with every single player. So that's going to be the number one thing. And it just only time will tell. We need to get him into spring training, see how he looks at the plate. If he gets it done, I think that they have an investment with him for sure. We got Pages on the roster from Craig Osterberg. Alex, what up, Alex? No to CT3, sorry. Andy, that's from Rolando. Chilltown All-Star says it's going to be CT3. He makes too much money. AG DFA Miguel Rojas. Wow, they're not DFA. He's pretty much like the unofficial captain of the team. Best Dodgers show. What up, BW? Appreciate that, my man. Chilltown All-Star CT3 needs to be... Oh, this is interesting. Chilltown All-Star says CT3 needs the standing ovation treatment. So you want to go full Trey Turner standing ovation on him. Now, the issue there, Chilltown, is that Chris Taylor, even if he's on this roster, is not going to be getting tons of at-bats and opportunities. Yes, it always feels like he gets his chance to plug in for some guy if they go down with an injury, and he provides valuable depth from that standpoint, but he's not going to be getting 4 or 5 at-bats a day for weeks on end. So the standing ovation treatment, it might be kind of awkward. You do the standing ovation, he gets one at bat, he grounds out, and then you don't see him for a couple days. But I still think it was funny. I like the comment. I appreciate it. Tran Dang says, Hassan Kim prioritize making contact over hitting for power. That's not what he does, right? He's not a guy that's going to get you a ton of home runs. His career high is 11 home runs. And we saw with Hassan Kim for the Padres, they thought he could be a 30 home run guy, and the power didn't translate. So at best, you're getting contact. If he's hitting anywhere from 275 to 300, then that is a great move. I think that those expectations are a little high. If he's just slightly above league average offensively in year one, I wouldn't necessarily take it as an L, but I think from his standpoint, he wants to earn his spot here, and he's going to do that with what he can do at the plate for sure. We got CT3 plays every position. Exactly, that's what he has, and that's why he got that contract. That's why he was the modern day Ben Zobrist and signed that 4-year, $60 million contract, because of his ability to play shortstop and center field, all the corner outfield spots, second, third. I mean, that's what he does. I dubbed him the Chris Armadine for a reason, right? But now you have more guys that can do that this team had a couple of seasons ago. With Tommy Edman, with Hassan Kim, with Kike Hernandez. Miguel Rojas can play a bunch of infield positions as well. We got Mix Felix says, would like some young blood in the lineup, gives the team a different dimension. For sure. I mean, at some point you want to, one, develop your homegrown talent, and two, stay as young as you can too. I mean, look, if Pages is great, look what that does for you moving forward next season. I mean, you need more outfield help. Michael Conforto's on a 1-year deal, and Pod's just, I mean, come on, this guy had a 2 home run game in the postseason. I mean, this guy, I think is his swing. I don't think he's going to be a 1-year wonder or anything like that, for sure. And like I said, he's the guy that even when he was slumping, still had a lot of success against lefties. Trade CT3 for Rendon from Tayo Serrano. Okay, man, that might be, I don't know if that's a comment of the show or a bruh or both, but I'll give you a comment of the show.
You win. Perfect.
Kid Indy says LA Dodgers Dream Team 2025 for sure. But yeah, this is from El Machingon. I didn't catch the live the other day, but when you were talking about Kike being the final Infinity Stone along with everyone else, then Kershaw is the gauntlet that brings it all together. I love that, El Machingon. That's a great way to put it. Awesome comment. Roki of the Year from Sydney Marvin. Roki of the Year in Trinan, Scott, and Yates, we trust for sure. Yeah, Tayo has everyone laughing about that comment about trading for him. But Dave Ross says $15 million for doing nothing is the standing ovation treatment. We have Danny says, what up, D-Mac? Tuning in from Rancho Cucamonga. Okay, so let's get back at D-Mac. I thought Mookie was the captain. AG, so the dynamic in the clubhouse, I would say that Mookie, if you had to pick one guy who's like kind of the dude who his work ethic rubs off on people, it's kind of leadership by example, I think Mookie is that guy. I think as far as kind of vocal leader, guy that can talk to different teammates, Miguel Rojas is certainly kind of the vocal guy. I think Freddie Freeman too. Clayton Kershaw just being there always is big. But I've asked players, like, who's the leader of this team? And I'm looking for an answer where I'm trying to get a player. And they'll tell me it's Dave Roberts. So Dave still, either he's going to send a message or he's going to get a player to send a message for him. But the good thing is this team has a ton of great leaders on them. You got you have future Hall of Famers, you have all-stars, you got the Mookie Betts types, and you got like guys like Miguel Rojas that they're not all-stars, but their respect level in that clubhouse is equal to the guys that are. So that's really just a testament to how much he means. I mean, hey, Jazz Chisholm clearly didn't know what he was talking about based on how these Dodgers feel about Miguel Rojas. There's a reason why they wanted him back for sure, and they picked up that club option. Mookie as a mentor, sheesh, can it get any better? Stephen Blevins, Dodger for life. What's up? What's up? Okay, so a couple more topics here that we're going to hit, and this is not the best one as far as positive news goes, but it is about Evan Phillips. Now, Evan Phillips is most likely going to not be ready to go due to a shoulder injury that prevented him from participating in the 2024 World Series. Bill Plunkett of the OC Register reported that he was originally held out. I remember they were telling us it was arm fatigue in the World Series, but Bill Plunkett reported that he suffered a tear in his rotator cuff during the NLCS, and that he received a platelet-rich plasma injection in the shoulder in November and wasn't able to start a throwing program until January. So we don't know yet when he's going to be ready to go, but the fact that he did not throw until January, that definitely is going to push things back. And I think it also explains why the Dodgers were so aggressive this offseason, and they weren't done even after getting Tanner Scott, and they still got their B option in Kirby Yates. So this Dodgers team, they have a ton of talent. The bullpen, they're going to be dynamic, and Tanner Scott is going to get the majority of the save opportunities. But getting Evan Phillips back is huge. I think that Evan Phillips has not been talked about enough just because of the additions, and even last year getting Michael Kopech. But let's not forget that Evan Phillips, he's been an anchor of this bullpen for the last couple of seasons. He really has been the Dodgers' best reliever for the last 3 years. And even last year, when he got off to a great start, he gave up just 3 runs in his first 25 appearances. Then he spent 4 weeks on the IL with a right hamstring strain. But still, I mean, he was posting sub-2 ERA numbers, had a 1.82 ERA, was 14 for 14 in save attempts. Did start giving up some uncharacteristic home runs there towards the All-Star break. The most notable one was that 2-run home run he gave up in Detroit, where the Dodgers blew that 5-run lead. But the 2 big things for Evan Phillips for me this season, outside of just getting healthy and getting 100%, is lefties had success against him more than they have in his time with the Dodgers. Lefties hit .253, slug .448. Righties, he was still very effective against them. They hit .217 with a .317 slug, but they really figured out that cutter. And the cutter that we've seen induce off contact and break bats and be a weapon for him really was minimized. I mean, he took that cutter usage from 16.5% for the first 4 months of the season down to 7.1% for the last couple of months of the season. So can he get that cutter to be more effective? How does the sweeper look? Because he was throwing more four-seam fastball than ever. So that is the number one thing. Opponents hit .265 off the cutter, slug .471. So I'm hoping for a resurgent Evan Phillips in 2025. And I think the number one key there is trying to get him to be as effective with the pitch mix that had him in the All-Star conversation. That is going to be the number one thing for Evan Phillips. And if you can get the Evan Phillips from a couple years ago and get the Michael Kopech that we saw when he was a Dodger, along with Tanner Scott, best lefty reliever in the league, at least in the conversation, plus a Kirby Yates, who's been great for the last couple of years. You'll get Brusdar Graterol back. You've got Alex Vessian, Anthony Bonda. This bullpen is absolutely stacked, but you need them to stay healthy. And I also want to see what it looks like with Dustin May and guys like that. I mean, will Dustin May be someone that is a multi-inning style reliever? I'm hoping that that's how it ends up. But a couple more here. So Dave Roberts, he said his message to the team. I always look forward to this. What is Dave Roberts' big message to the team? And these guys, they want to win. They're professionals. They're the best baseball players in the sport. But Dave said that his message this year is, quote, "It's acknowledging the fact that we as an organization, as a team, have set a standard for excellence. We've got the core group guys back. We've got an infusion of new players that are hungry to win a championship. And how we go about things on the field, there's a certain expectation and standard." I think that in itself, along with guys like Mookie and Freddie, they want to build a legacy for themselves. And the organization is a good step in the right direction towards doing that. So kind of the reason why I bring this up is I've seen this narrative for the last couple of days. Miguel Rojas talking about winning 120 games. I think the LA Times said that they could win 120 games and things like that. Don't chase 120 games, because if you do, you put unnecessary pressure on yourself to go out there and win the World Series. Because the truth of the matter is if you win 162 games and you lose the World Series, this year is going to be considered a failure. Now, if everyone stays healthy and you're just lucky from that standpoint and you're just winning games just because you're so dominant, then fine, let that take care of itself. But look, what happened to the Warriors that won 73 games? No one talks about them because they didn't win the championship. What happened when David Tyree made the miraculous catch in 2008 against the Patriots that at the time were undefeated? No one talks about that because you didn't win it all. The biggest key for the Dodgers is being in the best position to win in the postseason. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me last season was, isn't it almost kind of comical that one time that, yes, they still had the best record in baseball, but that one time that they didn't win 100 games was the year they won their first full 162 game regular season plus postseason World Series. And yes, we know they should have won in 2017, But the point remains is like you don't need to chase regular season wins. And it'd be cool. Like it definitely would be cool for sure. It definitely would be cool, but it's not going, it shouldn't be the priority. I mean, just becoming the first team in the National League to win back-to-back World Series titles since the late 70s Reds, that would be special in and of itself. Be the first team in baseball to win back-to-back titles since the 2000 Yankees. That would be special in and of itself. So don't chase 120 wins. I think that when I look at Major League Baseball, the Cubs, who won 116 games in 1906, that have the best winning percentage. The Mariners that won 116 games in 2001. They didn't win the World Series. And the 111-win Dodger team in 2022, they won just one game in the postseason. So, yeah, the number one thing for me and this Dodgers team is being as healthy as possible, is limiting innings for your starters, because I don't want to have to go through a year where you have 3 starters in the postseason again. So let's focus on the main prize. If you don't win a ring, it don't mean a thing. 120. Think about this, 120 wins. Like, oh yeah, that was cool when we beat the Rockies in July. Oh, that was cool when we beat the Pirates in June. I mean, yeah, it's cool, but the World Series is the number one priority in all this. So for people that want to put pressure on this team to win 120 games, yes, they're a stacked lineup, but you guys know baseball is baseball. Baseball is the sport where no matter how good you are, you're going to lose 40, 50, 60, 70 games. I mean, they don't really need that level of pressure. So I think that's the number one thing for sure. But no, DT Wong, I'm saying the Patriots. The Giants won the Super Bowl. Yes, of course. Of course. Who could forget the helmet catch? The helmet catch from David Tyree. I mean, the Giants won that Super Bowl. The Patriots, though, they were undefeated. I mean, they were 16-0 going into that regular season, and then they made their way through the playoffs, and that play was just absolutely insane. That helmet catch was one of the craziest moments in history. Super Bowl 42, Giants Patriots. So you're not going to remember that stuff. What you do remember is the 96 Bulls, because they won 72 games and they won it all. And for me, I look at the 1998 Yankees. That's the team that I want this Dodgers team to be like. I hope they win 114 games. Win 114, fine. Win 114, because you fall short of the 116. And what they do, they went on to win 125 games, which is the most games ever won regular season and postseason, but they capped it off with a title. So I care about the 11 wins in October a lot more than 162, 116 wins in the regular season. But let me know, do you guys disagree? Do you think they should chase the all-time record? I mean, with this roster, I mean, they're talented enough to do pretty much anything if they stay healthy, for sure. If they stay healthy, for sure. Benjamin says 112 wins, no World Series. Hey, Doug, are you going to eat any tortas in Japan? Absolutely. I'm going to find the best torta place in Tokyo and devour some tortas in Tokyo for sure. We got Jason Dillard. Doug, what do you think of Outman's prospects? I mean, his goals, I talked to James and he said his goal is to make this team. And he doesn't, it's about going up and putting his best foot forward, and it's going to be difficult, and maybe someone have to go down with an injury. But yeah, I mean, defensively, James Outman still, I think, 100% is above average center fielder. It just, can he hit? I mean, if he could hit 23 home runs like he did a couple years ago, there's a spot for him in the show. And I almost feel bad for a guy like James Outman. I really do, just because you wonder what his career would look like if he was in an organization that he'd get more opportunities and there was a little more margin for error and they could kind of live through some struggles in the regular season while he figured things out. So I think the talent's certainly there. I truly do. But it's going to be difficult to make this team because there's so much talent on this team for sure. But play the game. If 116 happens, if it doesn't, it just don't chase it. That's from Mookie Magic. Yeah, I think that's a practical way to look at it, and I think a smart way to look at it too, for sure. But guys, we're going to be back tomorrow. Anything breaks today, we'll be back for sure. But how awesome is this? I mean, really, though, like, how awesome is this? Spring training is back, and we have so many things to look forward to. Roki Sasaki Shohei Ohtani pitching for the Dodgers. I'm excited to see Blake Snell. I'm excited to see, by the way, I want to point this out too before I leave. Tyler Glasnow. I asked Tyler Glasnow a couple weeks ago about his delivery because Glasnow has one of the longest extensions to the plate, and he's such a big guy that they viewed this internally as possibly one of the reasons why he struggled to stay healthy throughout the course of an entire season. And here's some early footage, courtesy of the Dodgers, that shows him on the bump, and you can see that stride is a little shorter. So the hope is that it takes a little force off that elbow, which hopefully from a stuff standpoint, the velocity, the spin, everything's the same. It's just taking a little less force off the elbow, and that'll allow him to stay healthy. So look, I still contend that Tyler Glasnow on his best day is as nasty as anyone. I mean, just look at his start against the Twins. Dude had 14 punchies with less than 90 pitches, 88 pitches. Glasnow's nasty. I hope that he's fueled by the haters. I hope he sees people out there saying, oh, Tyler Glass arm. Okay, we'll see. We will see. I have big hopes for Tyler Glasnow this year. Couple more. Doug, didn't Kershaw almost leave to Texas after 2023? Do you think he still has thoughts of even that after winning, experimenting with a parade for the first time? Cleonis, I don't think so. I mean, I was told that Kershaw got a big contract offer from the Rangers, and he still said no. So, look, I mean, whether it was just kind of blind faith on my end, but if you've been watching this show for years, I've said Clayton Kershaw will never wear another team's uniform. He is a Magic. He is a Kobe. He is just one of those players that just is meant to stay in one organization, put on one uniform. And like I said during that time period, if you had to bring Dallas to LA just to make sure he finishes his career with the Dodgers, then do that. But I fully believe he'll stay with the Dodgers unless he pitches really, really well and he feels like he wants a better role or something and more of a front of the rotation type of role. But I just don't see it. I mean, he loves the organization. He understands them. They understand him. It's just a perfect match for sure. So I think that's the number one thing. Dodgers Nation meetup at the first game. We'll figure something out. Claudia says Glasnow has nice abs. Come on now. What? I'm gonna give you a bro. Bruh. No, I'm just playing with you, Claudia. But that's going to do it, guys, for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button. Comment Roki of the Year down below so you're eligible for our Roki Sasaki jersey giveaway at $120K. We're at $116,000 now, but we're talking about an authentic on-field Roki Sasaki. That's a big prize. That's like, hey, man, you need like all the tickets at Chuck E. Cheese for like 2 years to get that type of prize. Like it is a major, major prize for sure. So be sure to subscribe. If you want to do me the biggest favor, though, subscribe to my newest channel. We're going to be talking about all baseball. So you can stay locked in for teams around the league. Also, the NFL, college football, basketball. It's a big story in sports. We'll be talking about it over there, over on The Big Lead. Just search The Big Lead 1 on YouTube and subscribe. We really appreciate that. Also, join the new Discord server. We are going to be pumping in exclusive content from spring training in there once we head to Camelback Ranch later this week. So definitely be sure to do that. Join the Dodgers Nation All Access too, so you get exclusive merch, you get behind the scenes stuff, you get the ability to call in, all kinds of fun features too. So be sure to do that. But that's going to do it, guys, for this episode. Remember the number one thing is nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time,